Feast of Saint Anthony, patron of the custody of the Holy Land. The celebrations in Jerusalem were presided over by Brother Francesco Patron, custos of the Holy Land, who said, "Anthony reminds us that there is no peace without reconciliation." Pilgrims to the Holy Land, members of the Pope's World Prayer Network. Prompted by the words of Pope Francis, who in every Angelus asks us to pray for peace, 3 members of the pontifical work, World Prayer Network of the Pope, made a pilgrimage to the Holy Land to show their closeness. Basel Baransi, new priest for the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem. On June the 8th, in the Church of the Annunciation of Mary in Nazareth, Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa ordained a new priest. Breeze of peace from the village of Taybeh. Cardinal Pizzaballa visits his people. On the 1st of June, His Beatitude Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa, Patriarch of Jerusalem of the Latins, made a 3-day pastoral visit to the village of Taybeh, having the courage to build the future. Salesian Diaconal ordinations at Gethsemane. 7 new deacons were ordained by His Beatitude Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa, Patriarch of Jerusalem of the Latins, on the morning of Sunday the 9th of June, at the Basilica of the Agony in Gethsemane. The custody of the Holy Land has invoked the protection of Anthony of Padua on several occasions throughout its history, but especially at the fall of the Ottoman Empire, when the presence of the Franciscans in the holy places was seriously threatened by the new political class. Through his intercession, the friars were able to continue their mission in the Holy Land. Since then, the Church of Rome has recognized him as the official patron of the custody. On the 12th and 13th of June in Jerusalem, in the Friary of St. Saviour, Brother Francesco Patron presided over First Vespers. First, there was the blessing of bread, followed by a solemn Mass in honour of the Holy Presbyter and Doctor of the Church. A number of Catholic bishops attended, including the Apostolic Nuncio. There were also Orthodox representatives from the Greek and Coptic churches, a Maronite priest, Anglicans and Lutherans. Syro-Catholics and Melkites were also among the faithful. It was a very profound homily by the custos, in which he invited everyone to consider how Anthony's life and preaching revolve around the centrality of Christ, Prince and Lord of Peace. For Antonio, fundamental to peace is reconciliation. It is clear that without reconciliation there is no peace. This both in very human terms and in religious terms. Anthony's teaching on reconciliation is typical of 13th century Franciscan preaching, precisely because it was a century where there were disputes between families in cities, wars between cities, wars between empire and communes, between empire and papacy. And so the theme of peace was a very strong one.
E comuni tra impero e papato, e quindi il tema della pace era un tema fortissimamente sentito.
Ibrahim and Maral have 4 children, were married on the first Vespers of St. Anthony 14 years ago and are very devoted to the saint.
I thank God for this day. I pray also for Jerusalem. For Jerusalem to have for the peace of Jerusalem. Today I have a big healing. I was falling down for 3 months. I was in the bed. I can't move anything. Today, like it's miracle. Like I start to walk and to go out, and I have this opportunity to attend this celebration. This saint also search for the salvation of brothers and sisters, for the salvation of his family, for his brothers, and he go to preach also. He don't afraid. He go by ship and he go to preach.
We're so happy to be a family together today. Ibrahim insisted to have also the kids with us, transmitting the faith to them because they should see how we believe in Saint Anthony, and he's our patron and he is our shepherd at home. He did a lot of miracles. Especially, we got married on the vigil of Saint Anthony. It's a big feast for us. We are so happy to be here as a family today with the kids. Happy feast again.
Prompted by the words of Pope Francis, who in every Angelus asks us to pray for peace, 3 members of the Pope's World Prayer Network, which belongs to the Pontifical Opera at the Vatican, came to the Holy Land to show their closeness. So, at this point we said to ourselves, why not go on a pilgrimage of intercession and also of listening to what people are experiencing, because then prayer becomes more authentic, more powerful. Then we didn't really know what we would find. There was certainly some apprehension, some fear, but we heard the whole network in Italy in solidarity, and we came here on behalf of so many people. On this occasion, Father Renato was able to experience Pentecost Sunday in the Tent of Nations in Bethlehem. It was our Pentecost because people from different countries, different languages, came together as Christians to try to understand the drama of this country, but not in despair, not in passivity, but in hope, in prayer, in the commitment in some way to give a testimony of the gospel, thanks precisely to the sending of the Spirit. It was a very beautiful moment, very strong, very simple, even though it touched me very much. The Pope's World Prayer Network is committed to mobilizing Catholics through prayer and action in the face of the challenges facing humanity. This is the mission of the Church. The Pope's World Prayer Network proposes this path, this formation, to help people to get to know each other a little better. It also helps people get to know the heart of Christ, the heart of Jesus, a little better, so that they can enter into an intimacy, a familiarity with Him that then leads us back to living our daily lives, let's say, learning to look at them a little like Him. By getting closer to reality, the journey actually becomes about listening to the people of this land and seeing with your own eyes how people are. It made a bit of an impression on me to see Jerusalem a bit empty. I was used to seeing so many people, so it seemed a bit unreal. Giovanna, who came to the Holy Land for the first time, tells us about her experience.
As soon as my feet touched this earth, I immediately knew that it had something to tell me that would somehow not only speak to my life, but would also help me to get to know the Lord a little closer.
In Jerusalem, she visited the holy places and also walked the Via Dolorosa to the Holy Sepulchre. In addition, listening to the living stones that are the local Christians made her see that in a certain way the sufferings of the present time are united with the life of Christ, who walked the same paths in which we walk today.
It was very important for me to listen to the people, because they helped me to get to know this land. I can say that from this experience, I realized that in a certain sense, my life began here. So I returned to Ischia with a different awareness.
In the midst of a materialistic and often cynical world towards faith, Basel Baransi from the village of Raina, in Galilee, received the sacrament of priesthood. He responded to the Lord's call and offered himself to the Church. This offering, like a fragrance of myrrh, bears witness to the living Jesus and His irresistible beauty. In the Church of the Annunciation in Nazareth, Deacon Basel Baransi was then ordained a priest of the Latin Patriarchate during a solemn Mass presided over by the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa. I ask God to remain faithful to this call and to the faith entrusted to me, and to be able to give the example of the Good Shepherd who shepherds and protects the flock. This is a great joy for us because experiencing the ordination of a priest from Nazareth area is a rare event.
It is the most beautiful pride and an emotion that cannot be described, and I hope God will protect him.
Patriarch Pizzaballa was assisted in the Mass celebrated on the 8th of June by Bishops Monsignor Boulos Marcuzzo, Monsignor William Shomali, Patriarchal Vicar in Jerusalem, Monsignor Rafik Nahra, Patriarchal Vicar in Galilee, Monsignor Bruno Variano, Patriarchal Vicar in Cyprus, Monsignor Jamal Daibes, Head of the Diocese of Djibouti and Somalia, and the Archbishop of the Catholics of Galilee, Monsignor Yusuf Matta, the Greek Orthodox Bishop of Nazareth, Father Kyriakos, the Rector of the Beit Jala Seminary, Father Bernard Boggi, and a group of priests. In his homily, Patriarch Pizzaballa invited the new priest to be an example of a good shepherd, highlighting that the mercenary does not worry about the dispersion of the flock, while the one who loves the flock does.
What I expect from him is to be the image of Christ, to unite his heart to the heart of Jesus, and this is the only way to unite also his heart to the flock, to the sheep, to the people.
Patriarch Pizzaballa invites those who hear the Lord's voice to be strong and not to hesitate, for "Come and follow me" is God's call to the sacrament of priesthood.
What I can say that to spend a life for Jesus is the most wonderful experience you can have in your life. And I encourage them to not to be afraid.
In this holy place, in the house of our mother, the Virgin Mary, where she said yes to God's plan, I say to those who hesitate to answer her call to say yes to God's plan and to no longer trust in their personal plans. God's plan is greater and sweeter than I can ever imagine. It is a feeling that cannot be described, honestly. Congratulations to the Latin Patriarchate and its parishes, and to the priest Basil Baransi. We pray that he may lovingly accompany his flock to fresh pastures and still waters. On June the 1st, Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa made a 3-day pastoral visit to the village of Taybeh as a messenger of peace in a time of war. Cardinal Pizzaballa witnessed the strength of faith of the village's Christians who live amongst the conflicts and tensions that shake this area of the world. He listened to their stories and shared their concerns as their spokesman.
In these 3 days of visit, I had the opportunity to meet all. Touched me from one side the concern about the future because the situation is really difficult, and the concern of all the families for the future. On the other side also, what is touching me, the commitment to resist in this situation and to develop a lot of projects for the future that are a sign of commitment.
The Cardinal visited the home for the elderly and offered blessings and hope to all who are a sign of wisdom here. He inaugurated a new garden so that both body and soul can be healed, and so that it can serve as a meeting place for people and a space for personal reflection. He also inaugurated a new department at the Caritas Al-Taybeh Medical Center, highlighting the need to assist people with disabilities and ensure that they receive the necessary care.
غبطة البطريرك بزيارته لهي البلد وبزيارته أيضا لكفر مالك اللي كانت هي الإرسالية الأولى.
The work of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem began in the year 1860 here in this country and spread to 3 villages: Der Dibwan, Taybeh, and Kafr Malek. The center at that time was in the village of Taybeh. Now, after 164 years, the Patriarch has returned to Kafr Malek to revitalize Christian life in the town and to carry out a small project for the people living there. It is great to remember our work as a church and to revive the present with hope for the future.
ونحيي الحاضر أملاً في المستقبل. سيدنا غبطة البطريرك مشى على خطى السيد المسيح، أجا زار هاي البلد، عاش مع هاي البلد بحلوها بمرها بأيامها بالبيئة تبعتها بجوها اللطيف وبجوها الحلو خصوصا.
His Beatitude the Patriarch's visit to Taybeh lasted 3 days and included a visit to its institutions and parish activities. These included the Scouts, Parish Choir, Pastoral Council, Marian confraternities and young people. He met the sick and elderly, went to their homes, spent special moments with them and listened to them. During a public meeting with the parishioners and the townspeople always expressed their concern about the settlers' attacks on them and the suffering caused by the Bedouins' control over their land.
المعاناة اللي بيعانوها من هجمات المستوطنين، المعاناة اللي بيعانوها من البدو اللي عمالهم بيسيطروا على الأراضي وبأخذوا مساحات كبيرة من الأراضي اللي موجودين اليوم فيها.
طبعا احنا اليوم موجودين في الطيبة، والطيبة هو مجتمع صغير ولكن في عندنا 14 قرية ما حول الطيبة اللي كمان بحاجة لخدمات.
The community of Taybeh is small, but there are 14 villages around it that need services because they are far from the largest city, Ramallah. Consequently, Caritas here has a medical centre and provides basic health care. The department opened today will also provide services to the most marginalised people.
أولية واليوم اللي افتتحناه هو غرفة حسية وغرفة علاجية كمان عشان تعطي خدمات حتى للقطاع المهمش من أبناء شعبنا.
Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa's visit to the village of Taybeh was like a spring breeze bringing life and development, reminding everyone that love and self-giving are the true paths to peace and social justice. Seven new deacons were ordained by His Beatitude Cardinal Pierbattista Pizzaballa, Patriarch of Jerusalem of the Latins, on the morning of Sunday the 9th of June at the Basilica of the Agony, Gethsemane. The newly ordained belong to the Salesian family and all come from different countries. They are Indians, Africans, Europeans, Filipinos, all of them called to serve the Church of Christ in the spirit of Don Bosco, apostle of the young people and great interpreter of modernity and its pastoral challenges. A well-attended but essential celebration attended by many religious families, many priests and many lay people.
There will be a community that will flourish if they will.
Remember that a community is built from fragility, the Patriarch recalled in his homily. You are called to be that place where your brothers can experience God's mercy in Jesus Christ. With the laying on of hands, a very ancient apostolic gesture, and trusting in the intercession of all the saints, the candidates receive the first degree of the ministerial priesthood, thus becoming sacramentally co-workers of the bishop.
It's the feeling of blessing.
I feel this day is a great blessing. I feel very humble. I do not deserve this, but the Lord has called me to bring His salvation. It is something great to be here today. What I have always asked for in this place is that there be peace for this land. May there be harmony among the people, and today especially I have asked that God may protect and bless the young people, especially those who are alone and abandoned. At the beginning of my vocation I did not understand why I joined the Salesians, but little by little I discovered a great love for young people within me. This motivation grew within me. The love Christ has for young people and my desire to be young and with them and for them. Right now I have no idea about my future, but I do know that I will return to my province to minister, and I hope to be able to help there in some way.
Helping out in the boardings.
We are truly happy for this brother who was ordained today, says this believer from Sri Lanka, who came here with his whole family. This young girl, on the other hand, comes from Croatia, and her wish for these young deacons is that they will always remain available and ready to welcome all kinds of people. Open yourself to a gesture of solidarity and support the mission of the Custody of the Holy Land. The Christian Media Center spreads the good news of Jesus by making known to the world the spirituality of the holy places and the lives of the Christians who live here. Your contribution will help us bring the proclamation of the risen Lord, the most urgent of all, to men and women of every language and nation. To help us concretely, open the QR code. Your choice makes a difference.